My beloved child, there was a moment when you tried to pray, but the words would not come, and I want you to understand something before you hear anything else. I heard you anyway. You did not need the perfect sentence. You did not need to explain every detail. You did not need to find the right words, because I was already there in the silence. Maybe you remember that moment. You sat alone, staring into the distance, trying to gather enough strength to speak, but your heart was carrying more than your voice could express. You opened your mouth, and nothing came out. Maybe all you could do was breathe. Maybe you looked toward heaven and thought, Jesus, I don't even know what to say anymore. My beloved child, I heard that sentence before you finished it. I heard the prayer behind your silence. I heard the words hidden underneath your tears. I heard the question you could not bring yourself to ask. And if you are listening to this right now, do not skip, because there is something huge waiting for you in this message. You may believe your unanswered prayer was forgotten because you could not finish it, but I want to show you why that moment may have been more important than you realize. There was something happening inside you that you could not see. You thought you were failing at prayer because you could not speak, but I was not measuring the length of your prayer. I was looking at your heart. You thought you had to make your request sound beautiful enough for heaven to notice, but I never needed polished words from you. I wanted you. I wanted the honest version of you that had stopped pretending everything was fine. I wanted the heart that finally became too tired to perform, too overwhelmed to explain, too weary to arrange every emotion into a perfect sentence. And perhaps that is why you remember that particular night so clearly. There was no dramatic moment. No perfect speech. No carefully chosen words. There was simply you, sitting with everything you had been carrying, and me standing closer than you understood. Stay till the end, because I want to take you back into that moment. Not to make you relive the pain, but to show you what you could not see while you were inside it. You thought you were alone in that room. You were not. You thought heaven was silent. It was not. You thought your prayer had ended because your voice stopped. It had not. Sometimes the deepest prayer is the one that never becomes a sentence. Sometimes the heart speaks long before the lips can find a voice. And my child, I understood every part of yours. I knew what you meant when you whispered, "Please help me." I knew what you meant when you simply looked upward. I knew what you meant when you closed your eyes because you could not bear to look at anything else. I knew what you meant when you finally stopped asking for a specific outcome and simply wished for peace. Don't skip, because there is a reason I am reminding you of this now. You have been judging that moment by what happened afterward. You prayed, and then you looked at your circumstances and saw no immediate change. So you assumed nothing happened. But what if the first answer was not something changing around you? What if the first answer was me holding you together while everything inside you was asking how much longer you could keep going? You wanted me to change the situation immediately, but I was also strengthening the person who would eventually walk out of that situation. You wanted the chapter to end, but I was teaching you something you would need in the chapters ahead. You wanted an explanation, but I was giving you endurance. You wanted a sign, but I was developing discernment. You wanted everything to become clear, but I was teaching you how to walk when you could only see one step at a time. My beloved child, you have mistaken the absence of an immediate answer for the absence of my presence. Those are not the same thing. I can be working when you see nothing. I can be moving when everything looks still. I can be preparing an answer before you even understand what you are asking for. And sometimes the prayer you thought failed becomes the doorway to a transformation you could never have planned yourself. There is a story I want you to remember. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a long road before sunrise. They cannot see the entire path. They can barely see the next few feet in front of them. They ask, "How can I walk this road if I cannot see where it ends?" And the answer is simple: you do not need to see the entire road to take the next step. You only need enough light for the step in front of you. My child, that is what I have been doing with you. You wanted the whole map. I gave you enough grace for today. You wanted certainty about next year. I gave you strength for this morning. You wanted to know how everything would work out. I gave you enough peace to keep moving. You may not have recognized it as an answer because it did not arrive in the form you expected. But look at yourself now. You are still here. You are still listening. You are still searching for me. You are still capable of hope even after moments that made hope feel difficult. That matters. Do not underestimate it. There were days when you thought you would never feel steady again, yet you kept moving. There were mornings when you did not know what the next chapter would look like, yet you got up. There were nights when your mind would not become quiet, yet eventually you found rest. There were moments when you wanted an immediate answer, but instead you received enough strength to make it through another day. My child, sometimes a miracle begins quietly. Sometimes it does not arrive with a dramatic announcement. Sometimes it begins as the simple ability to breathe deeply again. Sometimes it begins when you wake up and realize the heaviness is not quite as strong as it used to be. Sometimes it begins when you can finally think about tomorrow without feeling overwhelmed by it. Sometimes it begins when you stop asking why you were chosen for that season and start wondering what that season taught you. Do not skip, because this is where the meaning of your unfinished prayer begins to change. You thought the prayer was unfinished because you could not say everything. But perhaps it was unfinished because the story itself was not finished. You stopped speaking because you had reached the limit of what you could express, but I had not reached the limit of what I could do. You thought your last whispered words were the ending. I saw them as the beginning of a deeper conversation. You may have said, "Jesus, I just need you," and then gone silent. My child, that was enough. You may have said, "I don't understand," and then cried. I understood. You may have said, "Please don't let this be the end," and then had no words left. I heard you. You may have simply whispered my name. I heard that too. You never needed to convince me to care about you. You never needed to earn my attention. You never needed to make your pain sound important enough. I already knew. I knew the story behind the request. I knew the years behind the tears. I knew the memories behind the silence. I knew the disappointment behind the hesitation. And I knew what you were afraid would happen next. But I also knew something you did not know. This moment was not going to define the rest of your life. You were looking at one night. I was looking at everything that would come after it. You were looking at what you had lost. I was looking at what you were becoming. You were counting what had changed. I was counting what was being built inside you. Stay till the end, because there is another part of this message that you may not have considered. Sometimes you pray for me to remove the weight, while I am teaching you how strong your heart can become without becoming hard. There is a difference between strength and hardness. I do not want what you experience to make you cold. I want it to make you compassionate. I do not want disappointment to make you stop believing. I want it to make your faith deeper than circumstances. I do not want uncertainty to make you afraid of the future. I want you to discover that you can face an unknown future with a known Savior. And I do not want the fact that one prayer took longer than expected to convince you that prayer does not matter. Your prayer mattered even when the answer was not visible. Your tears mattered. Your silence mattered. Your willingness to turn toward me mattered. There is something beautiful about a heart that comes to me without pretending. The world may reward appearances, but I look deeper. I see the part of you nobody else sees. I see the thoughts you never share. See the questions you keep hidden because you are afraid someone will misunderstand them. I see the moments when you wonder whether you are doing enough.
I see the times you compare your journey with someone else's and quietly ask why their life seems to be moving faster. And I want you to stop measuring your story against another person's timeline. You do not know what I am building beneath their surface, and they do not know what I am building beneath yours. Your journey has its own rhythm. Your healing has its own pace. Your growth has its own season. Your calling does not need to look like anyone else's. The prayer you whispered in private may eventually become the testimony you speak openly, not because the difficult moment was good in itself, but because I can bring meaning, growth, wisdom, and new purpose from places you never expected. And this is the revelation I want you to carry with you. The prayer you could not finish may have been the prayer that changed the way you approach me forever. Before that moment, perhaps you prayed mostly for outcomes. After that moment, you began praying for presence. Before that moment, you wanted me to control every detail. After that moment, you began learning to trust me with details you could not control. Before that moment, you thought faith meant knowing what would happen. After that moment, you began discovering that faith can mean continuing even when you do not know. That is not a small change, that is a deeper foundation. My beloved child, there is a reason you are hearing this now. Something in you is ready to stop carrying an old assumption, that because you could not finish that prayer, heaven must have missed it. Heaven did not miss it. I did not miss you. I did not overlook the moment you thought nobody understood. And I did not require you to be strong before coming to me. You came as you were. That was enough. So if there is still a prayer inside you that you cannot finish, bring it anyway. If all you can say is, Jesus, you know, say that. If all you can offer is a sigh, bring that. If your thoughts are scattered, bring them. If you cannot explain what you need, come anyway. You are not being graded on your ability to find perfect words. You are being invited into relationship. And now I want you to listen to the next part carefully, because there is something you have not yet understood about why that particular prayer had to remain unfinished. You thought the missing words were the problem. But perhaps the missing words created space for me to show you something no sentence could have explained. Something huge is waiting for you in this story, and it begins with the part of your prayer you thought was never heard. Stay till the end of this journey, because the answer is not simply about what you asked me to change. It is about what I was quietly changing in you while you were waiting for the answer.